Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation. And my guest today is Meridee Hlokoff. She is the founder of LaserQuit, a certified life addictions, business, and nutritional coach. And she's also a podcaster, which I'll be asking you questions about that. Spiritual Sisters with Saz podcast. Gosh, spiritual, that word kind of caught my attention a lot because I'm very much spiritually oriented. But before that, this is my brief introduction to Meridee. But the question that I love asking is, how would you describe who you are in this very moment? Who are you?
I am a spiritual being who is looking to help the world change the way they deal with addiction and in some ways improve it as much as I possibly can. Maybe inspire someone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big one, isn't it? I have lots of questions for you here about addiction. Kind of open questions, initial questions.
Yeah.
But before that too, what was the main inspiration and the intention to do the things that you're doing, the beautiful work that you're doing in this reality?
So I was a smoker. That's the addiction that I had. And I was just desperate to quit. And I was just like everyone else who took the pills, the patches, tried cold turkey, chewed the gum, and nothing worked. Everything was always a temporary solution. And I mean, weaning yourself off, probably one of the better options, but also I needed something that was going to really help me. And I actually had posted on my Facebook and said, someone help me. Like, I just don't want to smoke anymore. And a friend of mine commented and said, you got to try this cold laser therapy. And her friend commented, you can't tell her how to quit smoking when you still smoke. So we got on a call and she actually said to me, I just want to make it clear that I chose to start smoking again. And when I'm ready, this is where I'm going to go. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I was like desperate. So I said, anything works for me. I had this treatment on my way home, which was a 3-hour drive. I was reaching for my cigarettes, but not once did I think about smoking. So the person who was with me was actually the person who kind of pointed out that I was still reaching for my cigarettes.
Right.
And he said, are you going to quit at some point? And I was like, what? Wait, what? I'm confused. And he's like, how are you confused? And I was like, because I haven't thought about smoking. He's like, there's no way you haven't thought about smoking. And I was like, why do you say that? And he said, because you keep doing all the habits that you did when we drove down here and you were smoking. He's like, the difference is there's not cigarettes for you to pick up. And I was like, well, I didn't actually think about it. So this was one of those things that just my habits were still there. So it made me aware, okay, so I still have the physical reaching, the habit, and habits, of course, are unconscious, things we do without thinking. So the habit was there, but the thought of the cigarette was never there. And it was just this magical experience that I had. I quit for 5 years. And then, like most of us do, something happened where we were all in my backyard smoking. I was like, give me that. I had one puff. It was disgusting. And yet I still ended up smoking minimally. And I knew I'm going back to have this treatment. When I showed up, the lady was 5 years older. She was 77. She had just had both her legs cut off from diabetes. And I was like, I want to do what you do. I'm ready to change the world. And she said to me, she was like, I just don't even... She's like, I don't know that this is something you can do, like all the things. And I was like, I want to do this. I want to change the world. And she was like, all right. And so I committed to purchasing it. And, I came home and I was like, this is great. I'm helping people. But 85% success rates to me are mediocre. Yeah, they're pretty good. But in my life, I can accomplish, an 85% in school without even trying. So I thought to myself, what would it look like if I actually put some effort into this? What would I accomplish if I did? Could I make this better than it is? And I spent 5 years experimenting on people. And suddenly, like the way that people love you when they're leaving your office and appreciate you and say, thank you for changing my life. And then you get to see them again because, of course, I changed the way that the industry standard is for what it is. And that was where my focus is I want to help people. And my whole life I've known I'm a servant. I'm here to help people. I'm here to spread the word, but I'm also a pretty loud servant. I'm here to make some noise. I'm here as a disruptor. I'm here to cause some stuff, to stir some stuff up. I am just in my existence someone who triggers other people, and I'm okay with that. So it became this inspiration of, I want to change the world, and how can I do that?
Yeah.
And I know I can't do it myself, which is why I'm doing podcasts and trying to expand the knowledge of LaserQuit. I'm growing partnerships. I'm doing all these things because I know that eventually, by the time I'm dead, you guys are all going to be like, that girl changed the way we deal with addiction.
That's beautiful. I love hearing that. There's something about when I ask the question, I've interviewed a lot of people, when I ask the question about what the purpose of life is, and everyone answers that question the same way, somewhat the same way, that we are here to help one another.
Serve others. Yes. Yes.
That's a
Yes.
confirmation. That's why we're here. Do you wonder why that is at the core, like fundamentally? Why do we have this desire, this longing to connect and, help one another to grow, learn and grow and heal too?
I feel like the reason, like one statement that I heard a long time ago that really hit for me was, you are the best teacher for someone who is where you were. And
Yeah.
that hit me so hard because the people that have taught me the most have been where I was. Another great one is the Theodore Roosevelt speech of the man in the arena. And you'll never be criticized by someone who's doing what you're doing or more than you're doing. You'll only ever be criticized by people who are standing in the arena or standing in the stands watching you do the things. And so I want to be the person who pulls you down from the stands and encourages you to join me in the fight that I'm fighting. I don't want to tell you to be quiet because I don't want to hear what you have to say, but the people who have taught me the most are the ones who are in the arena with me. So I feel like that just is, it's become, once I found LaserQuit, I was like, oh my God, I found my purpose. I am where I need to be now. I'm also a bookkeeper. I own a bookkeeping company. I have 7 staff and I do help people there, but I've never felt as fulfilled as I feel helping people change their lives with addiction.
Yes, God, and that says it all, because there's something about the way we feel doing these things. Some people say it's a soul's purpose. They bring spirituality into this whole understanding of of calling, of purpose. Do you do that too? Because I do. I'm very spiritually kind of oriented.
I do. I actually, my sister and I's podcast, it's called Spiritual Sisters with Sass, because I'm the sassy one. I am very spiritual, but I'm very sassy. I'm a tough love kind of girl. My sister is, she is a yoga teacher's teacher, and she's very spiritual because yoga is actually a spirituality. It isn't the asanas, which is the movements of it. There's so much more to it. And so our entire life and our entire personal growth has come from our spirituality. And then about 1.5 years ago, her and I were like having a conversation at a friend's house, and he was like, there was a group of people and they all kind of stopped talking and started listening to us, and me and my sister were kind of like, sorry, what's happening? And they were like, your conversation is just so intense. You guys should start like a podcast or something, because people need to hear your guys' conversations. Right. And so then we ended up inviting them into that conversation, and it was all about our own personal journey, our own personal spirituality. And for me, like I am religion resistant is what I call it. I don't believe in religion. I believe in spirituality. I believe that, I guess in some ways you could say that I believe in a religion, but I don't, because Bhagavad Gita is spirituality. And that was the book that really changed the way I looked at life and at religion and all of the things. And I feel that religion is really just an explanation out from the Bhagavad Gita. And it's people trying to explain to you how to live like the Bhagavad Gita. It's their explanation because maybe you didn't understand it in the Bhagavad Gita. And so I feel that that's what religion is. But I've also found that it's gotten quite greedy, because nowhere has God mentioned money. Right. Nowhere has God said, pay me. Nowhere has God said anything like that. What he said is pay it forward. And it's sharing with others. It's sharing that experience. It's all of the things. And so for me, spirituality changed my life. It gave me purpose. And it made me see that when I face struggles, the biggest thing about the struggles I face is that I'm not the victim in those struggles, but in fact, I'm here to learn something. And that moment is here to teach me. Because I will tell you, I do not learn from pleasure. I will sit comfortably in pleasure forever. But when I'm uncomfortable, I want to move out of that discomfort. And the way I do that is using my spirituality and using the lessons I'm learning in that discomfort, in that, suffering, to move forward and create a better me. And so spirituality has really helped me to find purpose. And I feel like if you don't have spirituality, then I understand, because I was there where I was like, I just don't even understand why I'm here. Why am I even on this planet? This isn't fun for me.
Yes. Gosh.
So,
You're so wise in so many ways.
thank you. That's my spirituality, I tell you.
That's beautiful. Wow.
Yes.
So I love the way you said, there's one of the things that really connected with me. I mean, everything that you do connected with me deeply. But I love what you said here on your website, LaserQuitTherapy.ca. Under mission and vision, you say to teach and not judge. Mm-hmm. So that kind of stopped me for a while, because that's kind of it's very important to me for some reason that judgment's not there.
Yes, because judgment puts us in a place of shame.
Right.
And shame is not where we want to be, especially because people in addiction are already in shame, and shame has pushed them. And the biggest thing with me is that I don't believe that the addiction is the problem, because for them, the addiction is the solution to the problem. And the problem is that they don't want to feel because they've had so much trauma. And so their solution has become this addiction. Yes. And I don't want to be the person who judges you. I want to be the person who teaches you how to move through that, move forward from it, and get out of the addiction you're in. Right. Because we can heal from all of the things, but we need to be taught. And that's not something that we've been taught in our generation.
Right.
It's not, it's not normal to move through your stuff. It's becoming more normal. But I want to teach, and I don't want to judge, because the other thing is I find that we only ever judge when we don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I ask a lot of questions. I ask a lot of uncomfortable questions, and I find that makes people, they're kind of like, wow, that girl is bold. And you know what? Yeah, I might even be bold, but I want to understand. Yeah. I want to understand. I'm so curious about people and where they're coming from and why they made the choices they made. And so I ask a lot of questions, and that's why I don't judge, because I can't judge you. If I don't understand, I'm going to try and make judgment. But if I can try to understand, then there's no judgment there, because now I understand why you did what you did. Also, judgment is just, it doesn't work. It leads no one anywhere except bad places.
Right. Oh my God, Meridee. Yes, 1 billion times to that truth. If we can practice one thing, that would just change everything. Mm-hmm. If you could practice non-judgment, which to me, it's very similar to non-violence. Yes. It's a very non-violent type of action, way of thinking, way of being. It's a gentle way of being. And understanding, as you said, my understanding of understanding is that it comes from love. So that means that the more you want to understand, that means the more you want to connect. Yes. That's a connection, isn't it? Like we wanted to love. It's a beautiful thing. And it's really tough, I have to say, when it comes to injustice, when something is perceived as injustice, somebody trying to hurt a child or an animal, that still kind of makes my entire being kind of tremble.
I agree.
How do you face that challenge of injustice?
This is such a great question. My sister and I have done a lot of talking about this. And one of the things that I live by, and I know you probably do too, and one of my mantras is, what would love do? Every situation. Yeah. What would love do here? So, I mean, and trust me when I say I am far from a perfect human being. I am very human. I am a spirit having a human experience, and I am very human. So I am not perfect. But in the moments that I get the opportunity to ask, what would love do right now? I'm actually able to really see, you know what? When someone hurt a child, I'm not okay with it. However, it shows me how broken that person is.
Right.
And what that person needs is love. And even if that love is jail,
right.
And God's going to decide ultimately what's going to happen to them. I've only recently come to this because my mother's purpose on this planet, I swear, is to be the person who ruins lives. She's here to destroy. She's here, and not in good ways.
Right.
She is horrible, unfortunately. And I had a conversation with my sister and I said, like, what am I supposed to do with this? Because her purpose is to ruin lives. Her purpose is to be here to be a jerk. You know, what about the people who are murderers? What am I supposed to do with the things that I so strongly disagree with? And her answer was, it shows you though, because if we all came from love, we'd have nothing to learn.
Right.
We'd have no suffering. And if we didn't suffer, how do we grow? And so certain people or certain spirits were put on this planet to challenge us.
Gosh, that's a tough one that I have heard it before that way. That's a tough one to,
It is.
right, to kind of embrace it as
It is.
as the truth. You mentioned earlier too about addiction, you know, to smoke especially, that somebody said, I'm not ready to make that choice. What makes someone ready, like at the
I
core?
feel like a lot of the time we never feel ready because there's never going to be a good time. There's never going to be a time that life stops stressing you out. There's never going to be a time where life stops lifing, essentially.
Yeah.
And so it comes down to just making that decision and that commitment to yourself and to the life you're trying to live. And a lot of my clients, you know, they have kids. And when it comes down to them calling me and you know, I'm debating doing this, my question always goes to them and says, are you leading the life that you want your children to lead?
Right.
Because would you lead by example and tell your children, yeah, you should totally start smoking because it was so easy for me to quit? You know, and when my children started vaping, I said to them, I really wish you wouldn't because it's so hard to stop. Like, this is the one thing that I don't want you to do because it's not going to be easy for you to give it up. Like right now, it feels like a piece of cake, but in 5 years, it's not going to be a piece of cake anymore. So, and I lived my life with my kids. I'm not going to say for the whole time because I've only been spiritual for, say, the past 15 years. And my kids are almost 23 and 21 and a half.
Yeah.
And for me, that leading by example didn't even start until, say, 10 years ago. And so the 10 years I have put in, though, has made me incredibly proud of the children that I've raised. They've chosen what they take from what they've seen. But children learn what they live. They don't learn what they hear you say because what you say means nothing. Words are very minimal. The actions they see you take are the things that are going to change. And for me, that was what changed it for me. I don't want my kids to ever smoke. I don't want my kids to ever have to suffer with addiction of any kind.
Yeah.
And so if I can prevent your suffering before you suffer, I'm going to try and do that. And that's kind of where my passion has come from with this, because it's not that I have a ton of addiction even in my family. It's that I've helped a lot of friends with addiction. I've helped a lot of their kids with addiction. And I would never wish that on anyone. And yet to see how LaserQuit, when I say this, I want people to understand that, yes, it's real. I'm not pulling your leg. I'm not lying to you. Yeah. There is this level to LaserQuit that makes addiction the easiest you've ever seen to give up. But addiction is always hard. But again, one of the things I also live by is we need to choose our hard because life is hard. Being fat is hard. Being fit is hard, right? Like being spiritual is hard. Being not spiritual is incredibly hard. Which hard do you want to live? My hard is going to be the easiest hard that I can choose because, you know, being married is hard, but being single is hard as well.
Right.
Pick your hard. So if you're overweight, making that decision to finally get moving is so important. And I understand chronic pain. I had chronic pain for 27 years. Even with that, I went to the gym. I was just off for 10 days because I had surgery. And I have to tell you that I spent an entire day laying on my floor. I was in agony. I was in so much pain. And I thought to myself, this is from not moving. This is from not going to the gym. This is from being stuck in my bed for 3 days.
Yeah.
I know it hurts to start moving again, but movement is the thing that's going to fix all the problems. I got out of chronic pain by slowing down, doing stretches, and then strengthening the muscles. There is a way to get your life back, but choose the hard.
Gosh, you're so wise. I keep saying that. That's wisdom. I'm a wisdom lover, so I have to Yeah, I'm devotional in a way, so you're gonna hear that throughout the conversation.
Well, I appreciate
It's
that. Thank you.
beautiful. I love wisdom. So I know you mentioned on your website that everybody asks how it works. So
Yes.
LaserQuit is a cold laser therapy,
Yeah.
and it's has proven benefits, and it works. Gosh, 95%
Yeah.
success rate it has. That's amazing.
Yeah. So let me first of all break it down as to like what cold laser therapy is.
Yeah.
So everyone is now trending under this red light therapy, but it's been around for a really long time. It's just that now people are really understanding the benefits of it. It really does work really well. And essentially, red light therapy is LED lights
Uh,
and what they emit. Now, cold laser therapy is LED therapy combined with low level radiation. And as soon as I say radiation, people are like, nope, I'm out.
yeah.
But again, I'm going to repeat low level radiation. We're using such low levels of radiation that all we're doing is stimulating what we want to stimulate. It will not cause problems within you. In fact, the only side effects that I've seen typically are positive side effects. So that's the science. That's kind of the tool we're using is this combined therapy of LED light and low level radiation. Now I am using thousands of year old acupuncture based ideas to do the things that I'm doing.
Mm.
So essentially, I am the instructor telling your body to fix itself. And by doing certain things, I am able to instruct your body to do exactly what I want it to do. So that's where the difference is in what we're doing versus everyone else. So we're releasing endorphins to trick your brain into thinking that it's already got the fix.
Ah, interesting.
So
Ah.
we and what we're doing, because when we do our say I want to say do our addiction. So when we use drugs, when we use alcohol, when we smoke cigarettes, when we use our phone, when we watch pornography, when we gamble, no matter what we're doing, we're releasing quick hits of a dopamine immediately in your brain. And dopamine is the feel good hormone. It's the thing that makes you motivated. It comes from exercise as well.
Yeah.
And it's naturally released in your body. So when we first start using any kind of drug, we're releasing high levels of dopamine. Eventually your body, say for example, I just did cocaine just one night. So that one night you're releasing excessively high levels of dopamine. Dopamine your brain is not used to doing. The next day is when a lot of people will say, I wanted to kill myself. I was so sad. My life was awful. I realized how terrible I had it. All of the things. The victim mode comes because there's no dopamine in your brain to give you motivation to have any kind of power. So when they're in that crash
Wow.
is when a lot of people go, you know what, I just felt nice not having this. So I'm just going to use a little bit more. And then they use a little bit more and it slowly becomes an addiction. Eventually your body is still releasing that high level of dopamine. There's other ones in there. There's the bliss molecule, serotonin, all these things, but it's releasing these high levels of these endorphins. And then your body's receptors start to shut off. So you start to release these endorphins, but you're never actually using them anymore. And you never feel good. And after a long period of time, you end up using just to feel normal because your endorphins have crashed so hard that you need to feel normal and you bring them back up. In addiction, it takes 14 to 18 months for your brain to recover. And that's how come most people don't stay sober because they can't stay sober. Because for the next 14 months, you want me to be sober, deal with the things that are my trauma. You want me to feel the sadness when I'm already sad. That's why people will either start using again or commit suicide because it's not worth living because their brain isn't allowing them to feel normal. It takes 14 months. LaserQuit makes it so that within the first treatment, we've released such a high level of endorphin that you're almost at a normal level. Your body, especially after long-term use, will try to go back to what it was before and it'll start to crash again. So we retreat and then we maintain treatments for about a year to get your brain, to keep your brain at that level. So you're not waiting for that level to show up. So we treat you for a year. And then by the time you're done your year, your brain is fully recovered and you're able to move forward.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm convinced I don't have any addictions at this level, because I think we're all addicted to something. Hopefully, I'm not, the thoughts, even ideas, belief systems. But this is incredible. I never heard about LaserQuit. I would love for everyone to try who has
Yes,
a
absolutely.
problem. So this is something that it's done only in an office in a specific location, or they can do this on their own?
No, so it has to be done in a location. You may be able to find a location that does similar to what we do. I don't see the industry doing it the same way as I've done it, because I spent 5 years experimenting on people at the beginning.
Right.
And so I'm in a business, and businesses are supposed to make money. My business is essentially designed to close, because I want to fix addiction and then move on. So I will treat you until you're fixed. And my hope is that you'll go tell someone else and they'll come, because there's enough addicts out there for me to treat.
Yeah.
But a lot of my competitors will give you this crazy package where you get unlimited refreshers for 8 weeks, because you don't need refreshers in the 8-week period more often than not. Most people don't need any follow-ups until after the 8-week period. And it's because your endorphins have crashed. And now you're back to where you started before you saw us in the first place. Well, guess what? Now you're going to come back and you're going to pay us again. But my program is designed different. And I do it the way I do it on purpose. I do it so that I can actually get people sober and keep them sober, whether that is from any addiction that you have. Like I mentioned before, phone, porn, cigarettes, addictions being heavier like alcohol and drugs. It is to get you sober and keep you sober. I am not here to give you a quick fix and then send you on your way waiting for you to come back and pay me again.
Right.
I'm going to give you a long-term fix. And my long-term fix is made incredibly affordable.
That too. And I actually have that on the podcast as effective, holistic, and affordable. I have that there for the title. So do you have, I know you are in Canada, so do you have this in the United States? Like I am in Florida, but this podcast goes on everywhere. So
Yeah.
mainly
So
United
currently
States.
we only have British Columbia and Alberta and Costa Rica. There's one in a wellness center in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
But what our goal is to expand, because I only have 2 hands and I can only reach with my 10 fingers. Whereas if I can reach those 10 people who then reach 10 other people, we're reaching more people.
Yes.
So what I've done is, someone who is a business owner and is hearing this and is like, oh my God, I would love to do this, contact me, because we are selling basically what we call licensing. So what we do is we sell you we don't even sell you. We take a commission. We train you on how to do things. You pay a very small payment up front.
Yeah.
You're locked in for 5 years and you partner with us. So you pay us a commission or a royalty from us teaching you how to do the services, and then you go and offer the services within your own business.
Right.
And our partnering is incredibly easy. We typically see it kind of like I'm sure you've seen it because you're in Florida. Like Stonobello, where it's like the fat melting machine, and you'll see Stonobello in 100 different spots.
Yeah.
My goal is for you to see LaserQuit in every location that offers any kind of Medi-Spa services, or a naturopath who offers these things, or a wellness center who offers this. So I want this to be offered as a service within another service. We've just partnered with 3 new locations, which is Costa Rica, Abbotsford, and Vancouver. We're in the process of partnering with an additional 2, and then we have a couple others pending. So we are growing. We're growing relatively slowly. We did have this conversation before we started podcast.
Yeah.
Be careful what you ask for, because when you ask for it and you get it, it's sometimes just too much.
Right.
And so when I asked for it, I asked for it to come and for me to be able to maintain it. And so I'm maybe not quite as expanded as, I would like to be, but the universe knows that if I was any more expanded, I probably wouldn't be able to manage it. So I am working on expanding, but I'm expanding at a rate that is something that I'm able to manage. Another thing that is so important with me and this business is that I don't want it to become this corporate thing. I want this to stay a very personal experience.
Yeah.
You are dealing with someone's addiction. I want someone to know that they can always reach the person who created this, because she's busy, but she will make the time. I also want it so that this is why I've also done it the way I've done it is I don't want to have to worry about managing a million different staff members. I want you to worry about your business and making your business successful and helping people. So my partners are also I'm very clear about the partners I'm looking for. But if you're looking to help people and this is something that's interesting to you, I'm interested in potentially having a conversation with you about partnering, because offering these services and changing the world is what my goal is, but keeping it personal is a major factor for me.
I love that. Yeah. So you don't want this to expand to the point where there's no personal touch anymore and you're not accessible anymore. You're just too way too happily busy elsewhere.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Now I see what you mean. It's beautiful though. What can I say? So yes, gosh, this will be amazing here in Florida. I heard there's a lot of rehabs here, centers here. Would this be would they be open to it? Rehabs?
I have been trying to get in with them. I've offered free treatment because I really do think that we could, and I have actually worked with one in Abbotsford. They did get shut down come COVID. But that is ultimately one of my major goals as well, is to get LaserQuit within rehab centers, offering this as a service because it'll get people sober quicker. It helps with detox symptoms. It makes people feel better. They're going to commit. And they're going to stay committed because they're receiving their treatments. They're going to feel motivated. The only problem that we have ever seen is that people feel so good. They're like, I don't need rehab. I'm out. And you need to finish your rehab because you need to deal with the trauma that is associated with the reason that you started in the first place.
Do you also include that part of addressing the root cause?
We do. Certain packages, depending on what you're looking for. Like, are you looking just to quit smoking? We have a package for that. Are you looking to work really closely with a coach one-on-one? We offer that. So it really just depends on what you're looking for, and we can accommodate that. Now, anytime someone says, like, I don't need a coach, I'm like, well, you also wouldn't be smoking if you didn't need a coach. You would already know new coping mechanisms, but do you have those? No. And when stress comes up in a year, you're going to start smoking again because you don't have LaserQuit or because you don't have a coach who can support you through it. So let me teach you while you're going through the process and give you new coping mechanisms and tools so that you can stay a non-smoker moving forward.
Right.
Because I also hear oftentimes people will be like, oh, well, my mom got diagnosed with cancer and it was so stressed I started smoking. And I'm like, okay, so your mom was diagnosed with cancer. So you thought, I'm going to join her.
Right. Gosh.
So
yeah, it's interesting how we don't often kind of make that connection, right, Meridee, with the reason why. So would you say that addiction is very much connected to trauma? I have heard that over and over and over again. And also the inability to stay present and to connect with their own inner truth, right? Their own heart, their own soul, per se, like find purpose.
Yes.
Do you also educate them without almost like outside of the coaching? Because coach is like a personal thing. You have to be open to it. But because what I do here is education. I love people like listening to these conversations because then they might like, wait a minute, that's my case. But, without even related to it, like, because we're not talking directly to them, that might be, for some people, that's actually easier. If you're not kind of pointing the finger, you need coaching and you need to fix yourself. So I think, are you looking to do that too? I know you are on podcasts, which is wonderful. I'll have this message everywhere within my platform. But is that something that you're also thinking yourself, kind of having in the office, holding these, I don't know, almost like a speaking engagements that you have these, people just casually talk about these things?
Yeah, I would like, some of my all-time or ultimate goals are to be speaking. I would love to do, a TEDx that actually gets out there and helps people understand. And it's interesting because like I've been doing this for 13 years. So I've been heavy in the addiction space for 13 years. And over the last, I want to say year or so now, I look up to Gabor Mate.
Oh,
he is an amazing human being. And recently he started talking about addiction, and he has started talking about addiction and ADHD, which my doctor spoke to me about. And he said to me, when we diagnosed my son with ADHD, he said, I just want you to know, and he said to my son as well, I just want you to know that, like, the majority of undiagnosed ADHD is the reason that there's addiction out there. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, someone with ADD or ADHD lacks the ability to produce the right amounts of dopamine. He said, so he said to me, he looked at me, he said, have you ever done cocaine? And I was like, no. And he was like, well, then you're not the right person to be asking this question. He said, but he said, imagine all the thoughts that go through your head. And I said, okay. He said, imagine those doubled. And I was like, oh. He's like, and imagine not being able to finish almost any of those thoughts in full before the next one takes over. And I was like, ew. And he said, have you ever seen someone on cocaine? And I was like, yeah. He said, you notice how they like grind their teeth and they're tense and they're kind of shaky and they're, you know, like, he said, you can tell their nervous system is just wired. He said, did you know that is how someone with ADD and ADHD feels on a daily basis? And I said, that's how Keaton feels? And I looked at him, I said, is that how you feel? And he said, yeah. Wow. And my doctor said, did you know that when your son does cocaine, he feels the way that you feel on a daily basis? And I was like, wait, what? He said, when he puts a stimulant like that into his body, it releases dopamine and allows him to feel normal. You're normal. He said, so imagine being on cocaine every single day, but you're not actually taking anything. He said, that's what someone with ADD or ADHD has. And so I kind of was just like shocked by it. And he said, that's why they get addicted, is because it's the only time they feel normal. Their brain actually slows down and lets them feel. Their nervous system calms down a little bit. And I was just like, so you put a stimulant in them and it actually makes them feel better? And he said, yeah. And that's where one of the problems is coming from. Gabor Mate has also started speaking about the fact that our trauma is the problem, not the choice that they have chosen for the solution, which is something I've been saying for years. So I just appreciate that someone with so much reach has really started to speak so loudly about the same things, because now I feel like the people I've said these things to in the last 5 to 10 years are going, oh my goodness, I heard Meridee say that 5 years ago. You know, now there's some validity behind it.
Yes. It's interesting how you just kind of confirming, right? Somebody else with their voice confirming what you already knew to be true. How fascinating. I find that to be incredible. Yeah, it's my experience too, listening to so many amazing people. So addictions, not just because we talk about trauma, we talk about lack of connection, love, that purpose, but it's also very much biological. It's the way some brains work. They call, I think, neurodivergent or neurodiverse, right? Brains. Yes. So we need to understand our own brains, our own selves. It goes back to self-knowledge again and again.
Yes.
Becoming more curious, right, Meridee? Yeah. Become aware of our own, the house that we inhabit.
Yes. And I feel like so many of us, and I am, the teacher only because I have been there. But we live life so habitually that we are so unaware of the way that we affect other people, the way that we are living our lives. We are so habitual. And it is in so many ways easy to stay like that. But we also need to become aware and then make a choice to change.
Yeah. Is that the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind? It's very much that way. It's always like trying to automate everything, make everything automatic. It's easier to live, right? It's more comfortable.
And then Atomic Habits is such a great book if you're looking to change some habits. That was such an amazing book. He really breaks it down and makes it simple. But it's your subconscious brain taking over and making choices for you instead of you making the choices for yourself.
Yes, I'm always late. So that's one. Wow, I'm wondering if that's coming from that place. It might be, right? The subconscious. Be. Yeah. It's trying to, and it looks like, it makes sense because it looks like I look for ways to be late, almost like too many things to do at the same time.
Yeah.
Would LaserQuit help me with
Can
this?
I LaserQuit the lateness out of you? I cannot, unfortunately.
That'll be funny, right, Meridee?
I think that is a mindset thing, unfortunately. But yes, it does work for so many other things. So maybe I'll start working on that.
Let me know if you have one that's like less intense. So I want to mention again, you offer treatment programs for addiction of pretty much all kinds, drug addiction, smoke, weight loss, hormone, and menopause. That's interesting.
So remember that we're based on acupuncture, and acupuncture can regulate anything in your body because it's using your body's energies to get it to go back to normal. And so the cool part though is if someone were to have an addictions treatment, they would get the side effects of a smoking treatment, the side effects of a pain treatment, the side effects of an anti-anxiety, antidepressant, anti-stress, anti-PTSD treatment. They'd also get a weight loss treatment and a general pain treatment. So we don't always advertise the stress. We don't always advertise the pain treatment. They're not even on our websites because we really try to niche down. But those are the positive side effects. We've also seen some crazy things. I work with kids with autism, and their parents have come to me and said, like, we've tried all the meds, we've tried all the things, because autism has a ton of funding and a ton of support, and we've tried everything. And then my child came to you and had this treatment, and suddenly I'm seeing empathy. And empathy is not something that children with anyone with autism has. They just don't quite understand empathy. They don't understand how you feel. They can't put themselves in your shoes. And yet these kids are starting to feel it. They're less angry. The results are insane. I treated a lady who was not entirely honest with me. She didn't tell me that she was having 50 grand mal seizures a day. She said, I was just willing to take the risk because I needed to stop pulling my hair. So she had, it's a disease. I think it's trickle something when you pull your own hair out until you're bald. So she wanted to stop that. She wanted to help with her anxiety, and she wanted to quit smoking. So I treated her for the quit smoking, knowing that the anxiety would be treated. And because the hair pulling is also a habit, I knew I'd be able to treat her for that. So I treated her with those three in mind. I have a video testimonial on our YouTube from her telling me that she went from these 50 grand mal seizures a day down to 5 grand mal seizures a day. Wow. She had other major benefits and side effects that she had no idea, and I had no idea were going to be affected. And right now I'm actually working with a company that designed brain scanners. And we are going to partner to look at the addiction side and the cold laser therapy side of how this all works, the science behind it. Because if you look up LaserQuit, you're going to see that it says placebo effect, because no one is willing to do the science behind it. Because for me to do the science, I would need to do an MRI scan beforehand, an MRI scan after, and then again 8 weeks later when I go to treat you again, and then after. Yeah. That's just 4 treatments is $10,000 for one person. So that alone for those 4 scans, I need to get rich to do that. And that's not necessary. I mean, yes, please make me rich. I would love that. But also my goal is serving others. And the side effect will be that I'll have enough money to be able to do that. But instead, I actually ended up finding a partner in this company that designed brain scans. And he said, I need more information on addiction for my brain scan. Let's partner and discuss what that could look like.
Wonderful.
So I don't have to pay this $10,000. Hopefully we can just make this work and get some more science behind what we're doing.
That would be amazing. Yeah, because some people, they're very science oriented. To me, that's enough. Listening to you and the testimonies on your website too. Yeah. I mean, it's very clear where you're coming from. I think I'm very intuitive. That's what it is too. Yes. You know, maybe most people are not. They are coming from the left brain and logic and science, but I'm very much kind of going by the way I feel in the presence of others.
That's your spirituality showing itself.
Right. Yes. So it feels like amazing, to talk to you. It's so real to me that if I had any kind of addiction, I would try right away. That would be for sure. And I don't know anybody around me, but let me see. PTSD, you just mentioned. Would this help too with the CPTSD?
Oh my goodness, in incredible ways, because it's trauma.
Yeah.
Right? PTSD is trauma. And our trauma causes us to choose. So a lot of people, a lot of addicts are addicts because they have PTSD or because they have anxiety, they have stress, they have depression. We treat all of those things completely naturally. So the outcome is unbelievable. And I just posted a video on our, 2 videos on our YouTube, and they are open to the public, and they are people who have just partnered with us. And one of the ladies says, I think you underplay this a little bit too much, Meridee. And I was like, I mean, I feel like I play it up pretty well. Like I've told you, I have 95% success rates, all of these things. She's like, yeah, but no, because this is actually life-changing. And I was like, I love this. Thank you for saying that. I'm definitely using this video. And so I have this because she said, if you had played it up more, we would have understood. And I said, but also There's the people that it doesn't work the same for, just like a pill, right?
Yeah.
You and I can take the exact same pill and have completely different outcomes. Your body may not be ready for what I'm trying to get it to do. So it's not going to be the same for every single person. So I
Right.
try to also play into that as well. When I'm booking someone for their appointment, I'll be like, 85% of our clients don't struggle at all and 15% do. So I want you to expect to be one of the 15% who struggle, and that you're going to need to have me in your corner to walk you through this.
Yeah.
Because I want you to be prepared for the worst case scenario. And then when you walk away and I've blown your mind, I'm kind of excited about that.
Yes. Gosh. So it's not for everyone in the sense that exactly what you said, because we are all different. Yeah. Biologically different. We are so different. Yeah.
As well as bipolar. We cannot
Mm.
we cannot treat a certain, there's bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. And that's one of the things we're doing the science behind right now, is trying to find out which bipolar we can't treat.
Yeah.
But I have treated some bipolar and it's been fine. And other bipolar is the only time I've seen negative side effects.
Right. So you said 80%? For 80% of the people?
85% of people don't struggle at all. They basically just forget, they forget about their addiction. They forget to smoke. They forget,
Amazing.
and they just move on. The thoughts aren't there, which is the hardest part of any addiction, is that constant nagging inside your head that you want to go use the thing that you are so
Yeah.
used to using. Whereas our treatment makes it so that you don't have that nagging anymore.
Gosh. I think it's amazing, though, that everyone with any kind of addiction should try it anyway.
I agree.
Absolutely. Just try it. And so you're not in the United States, but this is something that it could
I'm
happen
working on
in
it.
the
Yep.
future.
If you were to call me and say, I would like to partner with you, it's something we can make happen.
That'll be amazing, Meridee.
Yeah.
We do need it everywhere, actually.
We do.
We do need
We
it
do.
everywhere. Thank you so much for doing this, for giving yourself to this cause. It's really a beautiful mission and vision to see people enjoying more, this, which we call life, being more themselves, being free from the, from that prison of having to live life in a certain way. That's
Yes.
not really healthy. That's not good for us. So it's a beautiful, beautiful purpose to have. And I see how you're very enthusiastic about this, and very light and very fun, beautiful. It's just amazing. So laserquittherapy.ca, it will be on the podcast notes. And before we say goodbye for today, is there anything that you left unsaid? I do have a question for you, but a final question. Is there anything that you left unsaid for this conversation?
No, I feel like it's there. And I hope that you guys can see the passion that is inside me for what I'm doing. And the only other thing is that I feel like for those who may have someone who is addicted, or if you yourself are addicted, know that coming out of that addiction may be your purpose. You may have suffered and gone through what you've gone through so that you can be the teacher to teach the person who is where you are right now. So don't give up hope, find some hope, and get clean.
Yes, I love that. Gosh, I love that. What's not to love about that?
Right.
Because you're not just, in a way, it's not just kind of healing ourselves, but passing that on too, which is an extra added joy, isn't it? To pass on what we have learned. That's like a double gift. So thank you again for that too. My last question is about freedom. This platform is titled The Freedom to Feel for a reason. So what is your idea of freedom? What is to be free to you?
I gotta say, I think I live it. And to be free is to experience the life that we have in front of us, to do and say as I please, while also impacting others in positive ways. My passion is to help people. And so if I can do that in any way or inspire someone, that's freedom to me. What is not freedom to me is being caught up in my own anger, being frustrated, suffering. That is not freedom.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it.
No.
Yes. Thank you so much, Meridee, for letting this timeless wisdom just flow to you so beautifully and clearly. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me so much.
And we'll talk soon. Take good care for now. Bye.